Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday morning. Thank you, Scott, for making me get up really early here on the West Coast, but it's not that early.
You got an extra hour.
Sure. Okay. Anyways, we are here to break down yesterday's WWE Crown Jewel from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It was a 6-match card. I thought it was going to be like 5, but there were 6 because I added that solo match, I believe. Sure. Okay. So, anyways, I wanted to talk to you about what had happened on it, and I think we should um, first ask, how was your week? What's happening? Was there any breaking news?
No, it's been a pretty good week. I had a nice Halloween. Fans of like Disney theme parks will enjoy my costume that I posted of the dinosaur ride. And then earlier,
a wrestling person. No,
no, I mean I did share an old photo I did when I was a big Zack Ryder fan when I wore his shirt and his glasses and everything. We had a Monday night. I think I talked about this. We had a Monday Night Raw party,
yes,
like watching Monday Night Raw on Halloween.
yes.
And so my wife was Vicky Guerrero. I was Zack Ryder, I guess, and other lucha masks were worn. But no, this time, I decided to pay tribute to a ride that's going to be finishing up next year. So.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. I want to just share a little bit. The quick story of the day is, my plan, as I told Scott Fishman, was that I'm going to go to Canada to Survivor Series. This is the goal. Now, I'm a pretty persistent guy, but I don't know if I can beat the government of the U.S., but we will see. But anyways, yeah, I'm having some passport issues, which is really weird. I realized it's every 15 years you have to get a new passport or renew your passport. The last time I was out of the country was in 2009 in Germany. I haven't been anywhere.
Man.
But I can't find the passport, so I think I get a certified copy or my birth certificate from my dad, and I take it in, and they look at it, and they go, "It says void all over this birth certificate," because in like dark, in like black ink, it had like void, void, void. So I learned it's the wrong certificate. So now I had to have family hunt it down in Wisconsin and send it to me. So don't ask if I can make it to the border of Canada. I don't know.
It seems like every major PLE event this year, you've had some issue getting to this place, because you had the WrestleMania.
I got to WrestleMania.
And then we're gonna go to SummerSlam, and then
Yeah, wait. I did get to WrestleMania.
Yes.
I just broke my nose at WrestleMania.
You haven't made your triumphant return yet, though. That's the thing. You're trying to make it to Canada.
So what's up, wrestling people? I'm gonna get to Canada to do some interviews and stuff.
You were approved. So you gotta get in there. You gotta get in the country somehow.
I'm gonna sneak into Canada. I heard somebody told me to go drive to Washington State and then take a car over, and then they won't check.
I've actually heard. Yeah, I heard. I don't know something about that, but I did think about that as an idea of driving to the border and seeing how that goes. But sure, that could be hit or miss. I don't know if you want to put all your eggs in that basket.
Well, as knowing Fairman, I'd get arrested and nobody would see me again.
That'd be good content. Just make sure to film it so you can put it on your YouTube page. That's how we are in 2024.
That's all we talk about.
As long as you get good content,
I'm going to film it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Crown Jewel is in the record books, 2024. The opening bout was the Bloodline 2.0, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and company, and going against Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso. And first, I wanted to get your thoughts, Scott, on, it was interesting the way that the OTC group came out. You had Roman, Jimmy, and then they gave Jey his own spot. And I thought that was great because it doesn't bring Jey back into, I'm just a Bloodline person. I mean, what was your thoughts on the setup of the introduction? Because I always think that's an important tell-all sign of some things.
Yeah, at first, I also think it was a good idea to make this the first match if you're going to make the focus on the Cody Rhodes Gunther main event with the title that they're trying to promote as this important achievement. I just thought, from a fan's perspective, the storytelling perspective, I think that was, the right move, because you are trying to show that they are individuals. Even Michael Cole on commentary was talking about how there was a point where we couldn't tell the Usos apart, and now they're their own individuals and kind of broke out on their own. But it also took 17 minutes or so to actually have the match start.
I was like, so I'm like, am I losing my mind, or did this match not start? Like, what is going on?
It was long intros, but I mean,
and I just wanted to add one thing before you give me your about. Yeah. I sat here and laughed, spit out my water. The commentary was hilarious. Corey Graves had some great comments, and I thought those guys were great last. I thought they were really funny. There's some, I don't have them all in my head, but there were some very funny comments. And you think about what would it be without the commentary? And I think you've got to have the commentary. That's why when we go to shows and we don't hear the commentary, it kind of, you know what I mean? It kind of,
I mean, I appreciate commentary more than anything. And it was nice that, you have Michael Cole and Corey who have this, bond together. They've been together for years doing commentary, so it's cool to kind of hear them on the big shows. Especially, I love the line he made about the Dwayne Wade statue at certain points. So there's a lot of current events tied into it. Michael Cole even has some fun when he makes some mistakes. He owns up to it. And
but there was something that Corey just cracking me up. And wasn't he trending on X? Zephyr agrees with us. The entrances took so long.
Yeah, it gives you, you got a chance to go to the bathroom, have a snack. If you have some last minute chicken wings in the oven, you got to pull out. I mean, they gave you a lot of time, basically.
So, what did you think about how when they finally did all get out there, Jay had this big intro, and Roman was first of the group?
Yeah, I think that was the right move. I mean, Jay clearly has broken out this year. You look at the merch sales, the connection he has with the audience. It's just something different. And, eventually we might get away. I could see even, headlining at WrestleMania one day as a big show, Jey Uso and Roman again, just because it's just so crazy that they've met before, all those times before back in, years ago. And then now just to see the difference in the dynamic would be very interesting. But together as this, and I like how, WWE years ago probably wouldn't have happened the way it had. Like, the storytelling aspect. Oh, they're just back together, just forgetting everything that happened. But I like how this way of storytelling that WWE's been doing is thinking about how do I get from point A to point B in a naturally organic way where it's not like Jey Uso is no, he's not going to forgive and forget everything that's happened.
That is what I was going to be so pissed. So my whole issue with what you said, because it started to get to me it's forgive and forget the way like that, and the Jimmy thing felt quick all of a sudden, and there was no more. I felt there should have been more episodes teasing them coming back together. And I was worried this is all going to go so fast. And now with Survivor Series, the one I'm going to be arrested for going to, that Survivor Series coming up, that obviously it sets this all up. Right now. You're in the ring, you're watching it. I mean, Jacob Fatu is really the sensational wrestler of the entire bunch. It is very clear to me. So at some point, I mean, and he's very funny because he keeps going, I love you, Zolo. I love you. Gimmick, it's a really good gimmick, but he really was the only one that I thought really wrestled.
He broke out. Yeah. Again, he shines through every time he comes out there, and and I guess, it's okay because, again, the Solo is the figurehead in a lot of ways in this. I mean, he does a good job, and he's been doing a lot better with the mic and developing the character and the persona. But when it comes to you're the leader of this this group, it's always, even when you watch comic book movies and things like that, the main guy isn't always the strongest of the group, as far as the physical guy or the imposing figure. You always want to have someone backing you up that you can come off as the guy. And I think that's how the dynamic is working with Jacob and Solo. But we're going to get to the match, but just the ending too, I just thought that was the right move to have Roman get pinned in there because they needed that.
I wanted to talk to you about that because it little stunned me, but they needed to do it. But it just looked like I just didn't buy. I was like, ugh. He's going to lay down. He's going to take the pin. So Sami comes in, and I am wondering, is this look in the black a potential heel turn? Is he really? And now he screwed himself up by kicking the hell of a kick to Roman in coming in for the save. And at first you didn't know what he was going to do because Solo was like, are you coming with us? Are you going with them? Are you coming with us? What do you think about this? Do you think this is this just going to be the ultimate reuniting of Sami for Survivor Series with the Roman-led bloodline, or could this be a spoiler and he's actually not going to be with them?
At first I loved the where he's giving him looking like he's going to give him a hug, and then he just that was such a cool moment. But I think it's going to be leaving us questioning and guessing in the weeks to come what side he may be, added to the group with the bloodline, the OG bloodline. But then there's the question of where his loyalty lies, or maybe not. It gives me a lot of thinking that it's kind of similar to the way, I don't know if you remember the Fall Brawl '96. Yeah, I'm nerding out right now, but where Sting, and you're wondering if Sting's going to show up and be a part of the
of course I do. Sting's my favorite, Scott Fishman.
And then the parking lot scene with Lex Luger and Sting.
Yeah.
What's going on with that sort of thing? So for me, I'm seeing a very similar in storytelling when it comes to that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be like leaving people wondering what side, where his loyalty was, because we still have to remember he had that conversation with Solo in the parking lot, and we don't know the nature of that. So I think there's still
here's one of my soap opera story theories.
Yes.
My theory:
a clone, a twin,
a Dolly clone played by Kim Zimmer will show up. No, but that would be hilarious. I was gonna say, so he joins the Roman group in Survivor Series and swerves them in Survivor Series and causes them to lose. What do you think of that? And he's really with Solo. Could that, you know what I mean? That's an interesting twist. I don't know if they would do it. And I'm feeling like Sami and Kevin are both turning heel because Sami was getting stale. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if that's the move.
That one would be interesting because you haven't seen them both be heels together as a team. But Sami's just so popular with the crowd. Would it work? It would be a risk, in my opinion, if they did go that direction, because Sami's just so beloved.
Right, yeah. But again, look, like they're cheering Roman.
Yeah, that's true too. But that reaction he got too. I mean, that would make it even more impactful, though, getting that reaction from the crowd, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a ways to go. I don't know if I see it, but, it'd be interesting for sure.
You don't see a Sami turn?
I don't know. But what was the point be? Just that hurt him so much that he wasn't called actual family? Is that kind of...
I know, that kind of just doesn't ring true
either. What would the motivation be at that point?
I don't even know the motivation for Kevin Owens. I guess he just doesn't trust him. Zephyr says, I cannot wait to see a match between Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker. How do you feel about that one, Scott?
Yeah, you got a little preview of that on Raw, or what it was, just the crowd reaction, just to them having that stare down. And I think as they kind of develop as characters within the company, I just think that's really a money match that you're going to build towards in the future for sure.
So you get this moment at the end. Samoan spikes him right a couple times, and then Roman goes down, and there's a continued there's a beatdown that's going on before Sami screws up. So obviously Roman takes and you're saying he has to lose in order for this to mean anything.
Yes, I think the finish was perfect, and he had to be the guy to take the fall, because that's going to impact Roman. Now it's the question of, is that going to affect his confidence? That's going to leave him wondering, do I have my group together? But also makes, when we look at Roman when he first came out, that was the argument I was making, is like, how do you make this other group bloodline, iteration of the bloodline, a viable threat? Have it come off a viable threat against Roman Reigns. And I don't know if they did a really great job in the beginning of doing that. I mean, you had Solo, but you had Jacob Fatu come in and all of that. And it seems like to be taking all the guys out by himself at some points with Roman. But now it's like, oh, man, Solo actually pinned this guy. And, Saudi Arabia seems like a great place for Solo, given he beat John Cena there too. So it's crazy. This guy's resume is building.
It's so weird to me when you have a Jacob Fatu and you see Solo. I just don't think Solo's that great. I think he needs more development. That's all. But he's doing,
and that's fair. He was thrown from NXT into the fire very quickly and put in these situations very quickly. So you forget a lot of times that he's not been around for very long, and he's kind of adjusting and evolving and getting better. But the fact is, he is getting better, so that's a plus. But is it enough timing to have him in this position? Should it have been Jacob Fatu? I see your point when you're coming from that sort of angle.
Yeah, that's the only thing. It's just the strength of it, I feel, would be better with a stronger front man, although I know he's getting better and playing his part. It is hard to watch Roman get a beat down like that because you're thinking, oh, he could just get up and kill them, smash them. But I get they have to do the story. So what's your prediction then coming out of this? Is your prediction what we're saying for Survivor Series? It'll be the Bloodline 2.0 with they have to have 5 members and Roman's got 5 members. Is that basically what we're saying here?
Yeah, 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. I mean, whatever they decide, they can kind of go either direction. We've kind of seen a little bit of both over the years when it comes to Survivor Series matches, but in a War Game setting, I see Paul Heyman coming back in this scenario and kind of helping kind of bring the guys together towards leading into the group. It kind of reminds me of the Dangerous Alliance, like how he was leading the charge for that group going into the War Games match. And I think we're gonna see a lot of that in the weeks to come.
Right. So Paul comes back, gets everybody together, and then you have the 4 guys.
Yeah, unless, like you said, they add the 5th.
Isn't there one? But there's one other brother cousin, right? That's in development. That isn't.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was the time to kind of bring out another new face. I think, but then the question is the other side sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, Tongaloa. I mean, you have the group kind of. So
they're trying to build souls of threat by him beating superstars like Cena and Roman. Yes, we agree.
Yes,
we agree. That makes the most sense. All right. So then we had the Women's Tag Team Championship, that fatal 4-way with Bianca and Jade and Piper and Chelsea Green and Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson and Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Can I just say how amazing Io Sky is? Thank you very much. Like that moonsault summer. So I'm like, she is a phenomenal athlete. Io Sky.
Yeah, I think Kairi had a great some moments too.
My fave, but
But for me in this match, I was very impressed with Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Like, they showed they belong with this group. Like, they're really coming into their own tag team, and they've shown that like there was a point where Lash Legend was starting out in NXT, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go because there was just some spots and things like that. But she was just starting out, coming from her athletic background, but I think they've really meshed well together as a tag team, and I think they really kind of shined. I love the stare down and the square off between Jade and Lash. Like, there was a lot of physicality with that sort of thing. I think a lot of people had their moments in that match. So,
and there was a moment when Lash was carrying Jakara on her shoulders.
Oh, you mean like was it Io or Kairi? Which she had? Wasn't there a moment?
Oh, that was later. There was first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That spot too was great.
Yeah. Like, all of that was great. And then I just thought Bianca's athleticism was amazing. And I'm wondering now.
Oh, the Doomsday Man. Wow. What power powerhouse by Jade too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when is the breakup happening?
Well, it seems like they're running with this team because, they retained. This was an opportunity. They could have changed the titles again because there are 3 viable tag teams in this match. So I think it's going to get closer to the Royal Rumble WrestleMania time. Yeah, there's still plenty of time to go for this group.
It's got to end up, the last 2 standing at Royal Rumble is Jade and Bianca. And they have to face off, and then somehow one of them wins, and it ruins the relationship.
I don't think they're actually going to win. I think it's just going to be a story within the Royal Rumble, and that's going to kind of build the wedge between them as time goes on. I don't see either one winning the Rumble this year, to be honest.
What do you see?
I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about Naomi and winning the Royal Rumble this year, which I think would be interesting considering, we haven't seen a lot her breakout, but we're seeing little flashes of that. She's kind of been in the picture, kind of not been in the picture of the women's division. People love her. She had this big comeback last year. So, but there's a lot of viable, ideas you can go, a lot of directions to take with this.
All right. Well, then we had, I thought, an incredible match between Seth freaking Rollins and Bronson Reed. It was pretty great. There was splash after splash. And I don't know what you thought of the match.
Oh, I thought it was tremendous. I mean, obviously, both guys really good. Bronson has really shined in big match situations. Seth, we know, can work with the best of them and is one of the best. For me, I just think in this case, we're talking about people winning, losing. Bronson could have really used the win here. You built it up as this viable threat, like, beating the crap out of everyone, including Seth. Like, there was still more to be told, I think, building this up. If Bronson had won the match, they could have had the rematch and had Seth finally get the win then. But I think that would have been a great moment for Bronson to get the win there.
I think it was a little weird because I thought the same thing. Bronson should have gotten the win. Seth took the loss because now they're like, yeah, we're coming back. You're coming for me. I'll put you down again. And Bronson's like, I'm coming for you. Like, so we're going to get another match. And now what? So what is the point of that other match? So now it's going to be something like no holds barred or something, like some kind of match. Right?
Yeah, I would have thought, I think Bronson, if they're going to have a series of matches, it would have been better for me if Bronson would have gotten that first win to kind of build the story more, and having Seth be the underdog coming back and kind of showing, hey, Bronson is this for real guy. Like, he's like, they built him up, and Michael Cole built him up and like, Bronson, he showed that he could be hanging in the main event and things like, it's great things. But when you're not winning the match, it kind of just, it's a disconnect for me.
It's so good that you said that as a writer, like writing the show. It really, I thought, doesn't make sense. You're building this guy up. You're building this guy. There's obviously some plan.
Hopefully.
I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Liv Morgan and Nia Jax with interference from Tiffy Time. And you're hoping, like, is this going to be the show that she finally cashes in? And we still don't get it. And I'm like, like, what'd you think of it?
I was fine with that not cashing in. I mean,
it was interesting. It was
the crowd, the fakes that they've been doing with Tiffany have been really great. The crowd has been like so into it, and they're like, you can see, maybe they're just using this to gauge the reaction that she gets, and kind of seeing that fan base really has, ever since earlier this year, Elimination Chamber. I think the fans have really just, there's something about her. It's interesting to me is like, she has all the makings of a heel, like someone that you would want to boo, like someone who's just like, she thinks she's better than everybody else. The way she dresses, the way she is, her persona, her look, the Barbie look, but yet the fans love her. Like, there's something about her. She just has a likability, which is interesting because you don't think about her having a likability, just the way.
I just think we're in a different. It's so clear to me, especially when you watch PLEs and the audience reaction. We are in a different time in this world. I mean, you can be bad, snotty, terrible, and we will root you on. I mean, it's just literally the way we are. I mean, Roman did horrendous things. I'm sitting there myself at WrestleMania going, you see my finger? Can you see my finger? It's going up. I was doing, like, I love Roman. And even when he's doing terrible things, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But I think but it also comes down to fans also outside the character. They respect ability and talent, and Tiffany and her performances and matches and things, and the way she is in the ring. I think people are starting to respect that and starting to see that and get behind that. So I think in that sense, in that kind of scenario, because the focus was really on the Crown Jewel Championship, and that would have definitely have taken away if there was a title change on top of a title win here. So I was totally fine there not being cash in here. I was actually surprised that we did not get Nia Jax winning this title. I thought she was going to take it, but I was pleasantly surprised and happy that Liv Morgan was the one to do it. So it kind of just further solidifies her reign. I think that was a good move to have her win.
I will say this. Obviously, they're setting up, starting probably next week, Nia is going to go ape shit on Tiffany. She's going to, like, you ruined everything for me in this match. They're going to have a massive fallout. They're going to have a feud, which doesn't, and that's just, and that title's still hers, Nia's, right? She still has a title. So
Stop.
I see them now. I see that program happening where they're going after each other, and I don't know. I think it has to. As far as Liv Morgan, there she is.
You saw how emotional she was. And this is a fan.
I'm going to talk to you about it. It's not my like that is what was so emotional, so great was her emotions from the beginning when she got it in the ring and she won, to Triple H, to honor, to women in Saudi Arabia, to having women featured in Saudi Arabia, to being on the billboard from the other women before her, to what this means. And then I wanted to say to you, I watched the post show. Now, because it was in Saudi Arabia, we did not have a press junket with all the press. Denise may have been there.
But somehow you would have saw her there. Yeah,
I saw her. But my point to you is, I really liked this post show because there were no stupid questions. There was, they were talking to them, and the Liv thing was so real. Liv's emotions, that was real.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw her journey too, there's a great documentary if you haven't seen it yet. I was on WWE Network, or I don't know if it's on Peacock right now, but it just kind of shows her journey from the and kind of even in Total Divas, you kind of got a sense of how she's come up, and it's always clawing and fighting and getting everything she has fought for, and she can see that she's put in the work. There's talk of you see her in the training sessions with Natalia and always wanting to get better and really not resting on her laurels. And finally, it comes to a point where you do all this hard work. And then if you're lucky enough to get the opportunity to showcase what you can truly do, then you make the most of it. And I think in that case, that's what happened with Liv. And that's what's happening right now with her.
Right. And what I think people have to understand, and I can tell you from being there, working there, and even now, we know that things are scripted. We understand things are planned. That she's going to win. All that. But then when you come down to these real moments at the end, a lot of real emotion comes through because it is a really awful grind. It is a tough grind. And to get in that, to be considered in that top tier. And I think who said it best? Somebody has to, wasn't it Jesse when we talked to him? Jesse Goddard? It was somebody has to either fall out, die, or he was talking about how you move up in the company and how you get noticed and how you set yourself apart. And I think that's what was so great about the Liv thing. Remember, she's a tiny girl. Not that the others, there are also smaller women too, but she's a small girl. But I also think she's the prettiest girl, by the way, in the WWE. I think she's really cute. And it's interesting. I think she can play the heel or the babyface.
She's this year especially kind of showed how her range as a character and what she can do from that sort of thing. When she has a storyline, she can actually dig into what can happen. And I think we've almost maybe even just scratched the surface of how that can play out.
So I miss Bianca in the singles title picture, which is my girl Bianca too. I miss her. Scott, don't you think Bianca should be in the titles picture?
I mean, I'm fine with her with Jade because I know in the end it's gonna lead to a match between the two, and she's gonna get back into that singles picture. I just think for right now that's what's happening, because if she was in the singles picture right now, it's almost like she would be in the backdrop of what their story they're trying to tell at the moment. But now with this Crown Jewel, which almost seems like cruise control, and they're kind of just stalling some of these stories, they can kind of pick up again as we lead into Survivor Series and kind of see what direction they want to go with everything. But yeah, I definitely don't. I mean, I love Bianca either way, singles tag. But it's not. It would be nice to have her in the spotlight again. But things go up and down like a roller coaster. 1 minute you're focused and the featured, and then the next time you're here and there. She's used to it. Other people are used to it. So her time is going to come for sure, I think. But one other thing I wanted to ask about with you when it comes to Liv, Raquel, more and more, I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like, we still haven't gotten any explanation. She was kind of just shoehorned into this. And that's just bothering me about that whole thing.
I am really bothered by it. Thank you for bringing it up, because I did want to discuss it with you. I am bothered with it. I always been from day one when Raquel showed up, it wasn't working. I liked, she was a big, strong woman, and it wasn't working. She wasn't working. People were not all excited about her. I've been to matches at PLEs or when Raquel was wrestling, and it's dead silent. Like, nobody's like, yay or boo. It was just kind of like nothing. So I thought, okay, make her heel. I'll buy that. I don't know why she's heel, other than, Liv and her have problems when Liv at 1.2. So it was like that never was explained. And now I'm like, she's kind of like the poor woman's oh my God. What's Mercedes?
Oh, like Camille?
A poor woman's Camille.
There is a lot of similarities in that.
I meant Camille. She's like a poor woman's Camille, and Camille's like, and I don't know if Raquel's worked on this character and it feels kind of forced and thrown in, and now she's all of a sudden with the Judgment Day. I mean, are they going to have her be a break? Is she going to get her own zhuzh, or is she just going to be the backup to Liv?
And she's wearing her sunglasses. She's looking like Diesel back in '95. I don't. But there was a point where I think fans were really getting behind her. I don't know if you remember the time with Charlotte Flair.
I did.
Raquel, that was a breakout moment for her. Like that could have built to something, and it was almost leading into the Royal Rumble where you're like, okay, Raquel's going to win the Royal Rumble, and then they're going to have the match at WrestleMania with I think it was even Rhea. I don't even know, but there was that momentum, and the momentum stopped for whatever reason. I know she's been having a lot of health issues, and she's battled back, and it's been pretty inspirational. If they leaned on that more when she came back as a different kind of character iteration, I think she would have connected with the audience more. I don't know if fans saw it, but her social media posts and being so open about what she's been through, I think that really struck a chord. And if they went in that direction more, I think it would have done better for her.
That's brilliant. You know what? Because you can connect the dots then. You can connect the dots. Here's what I've gone through. This is why I'm like this now.
Liv was here for me. Liv helped me through this. I don't know. Something. You all like turned your back on me.
You turned your back on me.
Yes.
All right. So Fairman and Fishman will write any WWE show, or let us know. We're reachable.
Yes.
We've got ideas. Now, Kevin Owens comes out. I laughed my head off. The Cowboy Bob Orton t-shirt.
Yes, that was such great trolling.
I gotta show Scott this because I hope you loved it. I thought it was really funny. I thought that was a great. Do you think that was Kevin's idea? I do.
I mean, he's been wearing his shirts for different reasons, like supporting others or just whatever, trolling people or just showing what a massive fan he is. And I think this was twofold. That like, yes, he's a student of the game. He loves wrestling back in the day too, but just having his dad, Randy Orton's dad shirt, just massive trolling. I loved it. I don't know whose idea it was, but it could have been his suggestion. But whoever did it, brilliant. That's all I can say.
And then we get this whole beatdown night. Like it was just, he went berserk. This is the beginning of the match. The match hadn't even started. He attacks him with the chair, Randy Orton, who is beloved by that crowd because they were singing away as well. And then we get this match, and I'm totally confused. I guess the answer came from Michael Cole. Well, he's totally unhinged. He feels everybody doesn't like him, or I don't know. It's like, what's his problem? We don't know what's happened with him. Like, there's no real explanation. He just feels betrayed. In his mind, he feels betrayed. Like, they're telling us the story. I don't understand the story. I'm just watching two guys that were friends beat the shit out of each other. And I've got the announce team filling me in because I'm like, why? I guess he beat up Cody because he didn't like the team with Roman. Okay. Now he goes ape shit on Randy. And what I was hoping, before you give me your opinion, because you have great insight, when Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis came out, I was hoping that they would defend each of their wrestlers from their brands and start going in on each other. And then the two guys would be wrestling in Survivor Series. Nick and Adam. And then they'd have a WWE SmackDown group led by, Nick and Adam Pearce Raw group in Survivor Series. That's what I would have done. But hey, okay.
I mean, who's to say we're not going to see that? We've seen the jabs on social media and on TV as well between the two of them. They obviously have a history with the NWA championship. So a lot of people are like, we want to see this match of them going one-on-one in a WWE ring. I mean, Scrap Iron and Nick Aldis one-on-one, I think.
It could mean something like, you have to lose one of your people to me, something. They should up the stakes.
Yeah. I think there's so much potential. And I think maybe we are going to see, Survivor Series has had brand versus brand, so
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if that does build up, and maybe you do have something going on. But in this case, it was involving, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and it's just interesting that they didn't have them. It was a match, but it wasn't really a match. I mean, he beat up the referee. They beat each other up all over the place, and I guess that's the story that Triple H was trying to say is be careful and whatever. I don't know,
but the other thought I wanted to ask you is, so I watch it like 4 a.m, so I'm thinking like, am I not awake yet, or what am I seeing? So I'm watching it, and the guys are laid out they're laid out. And then they go to a commercial on my Peacock. They go to a commercial, and then they come back and it's over. I'm like, wait. So I go back and I'm like, it didn't really end to me. They were just flat out on the table, and they went to.
You have cheap Peacock. That's what happens when you have the cheap Peacock.
Is it? What if
if you're seeing the commercials, you have cheap Peacock.
I have commercial. So you don't have cheap Peacock? I'm watching cheap.
No, I have cheap Peacock. I agree with you.
Commercial too? I'm like, what is it?
Yeah. Like they have this thing happen, and they're like, okay, now we're gonna go to but
it was like they're flat out, but there wasn't. Nobody said we're calling the match unless I missed it.
Yeah.
We're calling it. It's over.
They did call, but at the same time, I don't know. I didn't like it. I guess it makes. I mean, it's interesting that they didn't have a finish in this match at all, but I guess it continues the story, and that means we can have, the two go one-on-one again at Survivor Series or SmackDown, a big SmackDown coming up. Maybe they want to involve Cody a little bit more because Cody was a little busy right now. So maybe they're going to have him enter the mix and kind of see what happens.
But what is our point here? Where are we going? Why is Kevin gone berserk?
Well, he like you said, he was feeling some sort of way about how after everything that they've been through, how Cody was working with Roman Reigns, a guy that they fought so hard to end with the bloodline, and he's kind of almost aligning himself with that. And Randy Orton is just stepping into there as a friend and saying, almost approving it, like, why aren't you doing anything about it too? Why aren't you on my side? And if you're not on my side, then, you're on the other side. So that's what happened, in my opinion. But
did you like the match or not?
Say it again?
Did you like the match or not?
For what it was there. It was here nor there for me. I think I was okay with it because it wasn't like the main event. And, I think with the story that they're trying to tell with Kevin Owens being this unhinged guy and Orton going back to being how Randy Orton was back in the day, they're kind of building that up. Like, now you set something off, you set the spark for Randy Orton to kind of, he's been this nice guy for a long time now, and fans have been loving him. But now it's like, okay, wait a minute, you just awoken the monster right now. So I think that's what they're trying to kind of show off here. But it'll be interesting to see now that Cody's kind of moved on from Gunther, because Gunther's gone back to Raw, focusing back on SmackDown, how this kind of affects things moving forward. Because then Kevin Owens and Cody will have a match, or maybe even, and then Randy Orton falls into. I still see, Randy Orton and Cody as the money match, maybe Royal Rumble or something, or even at WrestleMania.
I'm very confused by this. What I expected and what I thought is the way to go. I don't know why they did I would have turned Randy heel and have him go against Cody. That is I thought that has such backstory, such human story.
I think it's still going to happen. I just think it's not going to happen right now. I think they're just kind of stretching this along with Kevin first, and then they'll go on.
So then Kevin ends up joining Randy against Cody.
That could happen, or Kevin might be a little busy with the whole Sami thing that you're talking about. So if that scenario plays out, he's going to be moving on to that sort of situation. But I still think I could still see that happening, though.
Zephyr agrees. I don't think Raquel adds anything to the Judgment Day.
I mean, she hasn't done much. She just stands there and
stands there and scowls, looks like Diesel.
Yes, and then does her little interference during matches. But as far as like the dynamic of the group, yeah, it's just I just here nor there for me.
Okay, so then we get the match between LA Knight, Andrade, and Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. Championship. And this match was insane, move for move, which I thought was, obviously you got your high flyers in this match. But I have to say, I am so impressed with Carmelo Hayes. Like, he's like my AEW guy who's in, he, you know what I mean? Like, he can fly. I really wanted to see Carmelo instead of just being, I feel like they have him in there right now to do these amazing moves and to do all this stuff. And Andrade was amazing too. But Carmelo is just so solid at doing all of these high flying maneuvers, and I felt like they sometimes put him in there just for excitement in a match, but they're not giving him anything. He was a champ in NXT. So what's the deal? And do you agree with me? Or I thought LA Knight's, I don't know. Is LA Knight getting stale?
I don't know if he's getting stale, but he's definitely kind of faded into the background. There hasn't been much. Like, I almost forgot about this match and forgot he was the United States champion. Ever since he beat Logan Paul, it's interesting to see that, not much has been going on with him. And it's like they're trying to figure out a story to put him in. And they call up Carmelo Hayes, and they don't have Andrade with anything to do with it. They just put those two together to have a series of matches because they know they just have good matches. Like, okay, let's just build a story on that sort of thing. But it's interesting because when Carmelo first appeared on the show, I was like, oh, man, he's hanging with the big guys, Randy Orton and all that. But then they just kind of took a step back. And, but you see Carmelo and Andrade like really make the most of their series and really steal the show in a lot of shows. And this was no different. Like, those two just have some sort of magic about them. And LA Knight doesn't always get the credit, as a worker in a match. So, but I think he kind of shined in that one. That was a great matchup. A lot of people weren't focused on that match. They're all focused on the other story. So it was them going out there being like, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly was like you. I'm like, I'm going to go make coffee.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this match was happening. So I'm like, what? And I go back and I just was like, I'm a little bored with it though, because we've seen like 20 times Andrade versus Carmelo on TV. Taking that same match to the house shows. They're just wrestling each other because it's an exciting thing to watch, visually to watch, but it's not moving any story. And then LA Knight, who was great in this match, they were all great in the match. I just don't know where you're going with him anymore because he was so hot for so long. And now I feel he's one of the guys going down. And this is the thing with wrestling. You can see it kind of, do they not? I don't think they know what to do with him right now. That's what I think. They don't have a solid story for him.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, they just can kind of okay, we need to get you on TV. This is how to do it, sort of thing, where that really shouldn't be the way to do things. So hopefully coming out of this, we're going to see something with him, but I'm not sure.
Where is Logan Paul?
Well, he just had they just had a child, so he's been probably on paternity leave.
Daddy time with
I'd say, yeah.
Okay. Now we come to the main event of Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. I do have to say, I thought it was a great match. It was so great to see the champs against each other. And I love that idea. And Triple H had said it in the post show. But when I was a kid, I lived in AWA territory, and I always would go to Florida to my grandparents, and I could see Florida wrestling and NWA. But I was in the Midwest, so all I would get was AWA. I'd get Vern Gagne and AWA, and I never got the guys from WWF or NWA. I always wanted to see like the champ from here and the champ from there, and a big Super Bowl, and that was the dream. So when I do agree with Triple H when he said in the post show, this was a dream of mine since I was a kid. I too wanted to see the champs go, at each other. This is a modified version of that. But I watched it and I thought those guys put on a great show. I really did. I thought it was a really entertaining match. And you saw how great they were.
Where I was taken with the atmosphere.
They were
coming out. He's like, keep in mind, he's American, red, white, and blue guy, like the American Dream's son. They're saying Dusty, and it's red, and it's Saudi Arabia. Like, you don't like just pro wrestling, just incredible in that sense.
Yes, and I wanted to say, I so agree with you. You get chills. I was watching it, and the chills comes from here's an American guy in Saudi Arabia. They know every line of his song, every word. They're singing. They're shouting for him, they're putting their light, like everything. And it does give you chills and warms your, it's like it's like you are watching a rock star show. This is like a rock star moment.
Mm-hmm.
You come out with music. That's what we love about the WWE, that I think people should understand. Its entertainment value is so off the charts. And this showed you the love and participation of the audience was, they love Cody. Cody's like, he's still going. You know, I kept thinking, well, maybe it'll wane at some point, but he's the kids,
yeah,
the little boys were so excited. He's watching, you know,
and he embraces it. I mean, it's this story is every bit as real as what Gunther is saying, like in the promos, and who Cody is and how Gunther is. Maybe not to the extent for Gunther. Maybe, you know, I don't think I see him interact with people all the time and fans. He's great with fans, but just the different journeys that they've had to get to where they are, and just how each of them presents themselves. And Gunther is not that, you know, he's a guy that brings authenticity. Like, I think that's what people respect about him. And this was a classic pro wrestling match, and I really appreciated the story that they were telling as pro wrestlers. And, you know, you didn't need all the big interferences and the shenanigans, and it was just a straightforward match. And I loved how Cody won the match, but he like squeaked by the win. He just like, yeah, it wasn't like a dominating performance. And I think that's still
so smart, which was so smart. It was booked and choreographed so well. I do want to say these must hurt.
Oh yeah. Like you always, like with Sheamus too, it's like both of these guys.
Must hurt. And you see it. And it was like amazing. Yeah. And I do agree. The last moment you were left, I was left. Is he going to win? Is Cody going to lose? Like, I had a moment of, I didn't know.
It could have gone either way. It literally could have gone either way.
I would be happy either way. Like, I love both these guys. I think they're great. I think Gunther is just a phenomenal, old school technical. Like, I just don't know anyone that wrestles like that. And Cody impressed me in this match because sometimes I've been a little down on some of the in-rings, but I thought he really was good in this match.
Yeah, and like we were talking about the finish, which what people liken to Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, where Bret did the roll through, squeaked out the win. Very similar to like the Austin one too, Austin and Bret from Survivor Series. Similar kind of situation where you're having these two guys wrestle, and it's like you want to keep the other one strong. This is a way to do it, and I love. You don't want to do it all the time, but I think when it warrants it, I think it really is an effective way of doing it. And I think that's what happened here.
And I also love the fact, what I really liked, and tell me what you think. After the match, there was that moment, are they going to shake hands or beat each other up? And I was so glad that they were true champions, didn't stoop to that level, had enough respect. Because even though Gunther said, I'm coming back for this is not whatever he said to him, which was good, he still shook his hand.
Yes.
There was no poo ending like you stink. You know, it wasn't like that.
Yeah. I think what's great about Gunther is he doesn't fall into all the tropes of a bad guy, like beating people up at the end and being a swarmy heel. And he's a respectable guy at the end of the day. He respects competition. And when he's beat, he respects the guy who beats him, who brought him the fight. Even when let's say he wins too, he shakes their hand. He builds them up. He respects, you know, his opponents. He talks, you know, he's like, you had this career, you had that career. You know, I respect what you've done. And I think that really is something different that we don't see a lot of in this environment, this landscape over the years. And you do see it with Gunther. And I love that about him as well.
So at the end, he gets the Crown Jewel Championship. And are the two women, the wives. I was interested in knowing that the two women that came in the ring. I mean, are they working with them? Are they the wives of the two?
Or just part of the organization? You know, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but you know, I thought so then we go to the post show and we realize they're not taking the belts back. They're going
to a vault in the WWE experience.
And they gave them a ring that Cody couldn't quite get on his finger, but Liv loved, you know. And there was the moment where also they were able to play up the fact that Cody knows that she's a heel, but he had the respectability for her. And like, they both talked for a minute and he went to one ring post and she went to the other and they raised the belt and then he helped her out of the ring. I thought he generally, like, you know, they didn't really keep up too much pretense about who's the heel and who's the this, you know?
This transcended. It was just the moment. It didn't matter. Like, this was a powerful moment they wanted to show at Saudi Arabia, WWE. They wanted the big money moment because you can only have one first, and these are our two first that we're going to be building on for many years to come. That's why it's such a big deal, and I think why it's so caught by Liv is like, she knows this moment is not lost on her. Like, and Cody
I was so moved. I mean, you got to be an idiot not to be moved. This woman is, those were all real. I mean, she was very, very moved. And I think you're saying everything that she had went through, and she kind of said that without going through every item.
Yeah. And so I think there's moments that you don't need to, you're a heel, you're a baby face. It just kind of just transcends it.
I want to ask you a couple questions before we wrap. And this is, do you believe, like, when I watch Cody in Saudi Arabia, like internationally, I just think he's so huge. Whenever we see him go to these international shows, do you think we're going to get what I'm thinking is, are we going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the title? So somewhere along the lines, Cody is not the champ, and it's Roman. That Roman comes out of Royal Rumble as a challenger for Cody, wins it, and then that's against The Rock at WrestleMania.
I don't know. I can see Randy Orton and Cody going one-on-one at WrestleMania, to be honest. And then you do Rock and Roman, or you can do, it could be a different Bloodline member against Rock. I don't know. I feel like you don't go to Rock and Cody, although that's the story that they were telling. You're hearing conflicting reports too if Rock is even going to be wrestling at WrestleMania or being at WrestleMania. So that's an interesting thing. But you also have John Cena there. Where are you going to put John Cena here?
Let's not forget the John
Cena.
Farewell tour is beginning, right? In this month? It's this month or next month, isn't it?
I thought it was January for the Netflix. I think that's what's going to jumpstart his run. Does he win the Royal Rumble? Right. Does he go for that 17th championship? So it can go anyway. I think Cody had teased on an interview that it's going to be unexpected, like the match. It's going to be unexpected. Like,
well,
going to be building
to your point, look what we went through this past year. We weren't supposed to get, but Rock, it wasn't supposed to go that way. If you believe what you're seeing, The Rock was never going to be the heel.
The pivot.
There was the pivot. So we get another pivot. Who knows? I want to ask you one unrelated but related. What the hell, Samantha Irwin? So now she leaves the thing, and then there's this whole thing on social media that she's like, "Well, I just wanted to be a producer or a book."
She wanted to be a person. She wanted to be a character on TV.
A character on the show. She wanted to be a manager. Now, so what do you think happened? What she made the decision to leave?
Yeah, well, it depends. I guess, it comes down to whose angle you take. But for her, I mean, I think a lot of it's so unfair. Like, if you want to leave a job, like, that's your life. Like, you should be able to leave it no matter what. And whatever anyone thinks, who gives a crap?
Right.
And then for people coming after her and Ricochet and things like this is their real livelihood. This is life. We don't know all about, like, we think, because we see them every week, we're like, oh yeah, they're our friends, or they're people that we know we know them so well because we read up on them and we know them. Like, they have lives outside of, wrestling that we have no idea about, like children and families and like schedules and things like that we, whatever economic things going on, so many different factors. And obviously she's a talented person who wants to build a music career and go that route too. But you could tell she was a fan, like a wrestling fan, and it's good to have aspirations and things like that, whether you agree with her or not. Maybe there's some that's saying she should just have kept on ring announcing and eventually maybe her opportunity would have come. Or there's others that say, she made the right move and things like, if that's how she felt, or, oh, she's bad mouthing the company now that she left. There's just so many things, like, dynamic wise. But if she wanted to become a character and it wasn't happening there and she wasn't seeing a future, you're only, you have one life to lead here. So if she thought that wasn't going to happen and she wanted to leave and come, maybe years later it can happen for her, but right now it's not. So,
and you make up a really great point. And this is what I say when everybody goes crazy on me about soap operas and wrestling. It's the same kind of fandom. It is literally in soap operas, you either believe they're the characters in real life, or these actors don't have real lives, and we're making up their, like, it's so similar to wrestling, only wrestling is on a bigger global, it's just bigger audience, bigger globally than daytime soaps. But it's literally the same thing. It's literally the same kind of fandom. Like, hey guys, they have lives. We don't know what's really going on. And we all and social media, which when I grew up we never had, has really made it like, we'll say whatever and we'll make up whatever narrative we want to about these people, and let's start that, even though it may not be true. Zephyr weighed in before we go, and he did bring up a point, which is not showing me. That's weird.
Well, as you're doing that, one thing we didn't talk about is Baron Corbin and Indy Hartwell.
Wait, there it is. Hold on. Let me get this. Gunther always loses to Cody, though. He was eliminated from the Royal Rumble in 2024 by Cody, and then loses again to Crown Jewel. I know he lost 3 times. Does that, but you're not saying, Scott, like, I don't feel it lessens Gunther at all.
No, I mean, I don't think it hurts him at all, because I think in the grand scheme of things, I totally wasn't even thinking about that when he lost to Cody just then for some reason. And he just has that about him where a loss isn't going to affect him. But, eventually he should get that win back. But when you count eliminations from Royal Rumbles, I don't count them as like losses per se. So,
Baron Corbin, you were saying.
Oh, I was just saying with Tegan Knox and Baron Corbin, Indy Hartwell getting, they're not continuing on with WWE for whatever reason, either released or not renewing their contract. It's crazy to see that, you don't see the releases a lot, now as much as we did back before when you had these massive layoffs with the COVID and everything.
20 people at one time.
Yeah, but, Baron's been with the company for so long. And he's done so much from NXT to what he's done with the King of the Ring and the matches he's had with Roman Reigns and Drew and all these other guys. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think he kind of broke out as a character. And one of the things that surprised me before I first talked to him is like, what a great interview he was. Like, he's very articulate, very well spoken, great personality when you actually talk to him. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of continues down the road of wrestling or if he dives into something else. I know he has a lot of interest with grilling and culinary stuff, so maybe wanting to veer into that direction. But clearly, made a lot of money, so not worried about him.
I have to say, this is a case where they never got him right. I mean, he has been there and nothing stuck. Every character.
I think there
was the
Bad Luck era was his best.
Which era?
Where he's broke ass Corbin.
Broke ass Corbin. But there were so many. It's like nothing really stuck. And I just kept feeling like he was always thrown in for the last several years. And I hated Happy Corbin or whatever that was.
Oh my God, that was terrible. That was straight up.
I feel like he's the guy. When you do a movie on wrestling, like a fictive, like the guy that they can't come up with, they come up with ridiculous characters for, and every time they do one, nothing works. And I just felt like that was what was happening, and I didn't get why. When he's a smart guy, he delivers in the ring, but they made him a loser all the time. He wasn't winning all the time. It just nothing. It's like
I guess put him with Apollo Crews randomly.
I mean, I just think that was terrible. It's like, why are you? And maybe honestly, they should release him. You're not even doing him right. I understand it's not money-wise good or whatever, but they're not doing him right. They didn't do him right.
They let him go, or letting his contract, not renewing his contract. But
sure.
And then Indy was heartbreaking for me because you're talking about someone who really hasn't gotten a chance. Like, wrestling-wise, I'm not always seeing the best. Like, she does well in the ring, but she's not one of the she's the greatest worker in the world. But as a personality and a character, what she was doing in NXT, she never really got the chance to do that on the main roster, and for me that was sad because I feel like there's so much she can do.
Right, there's just again, you go back to Jesse's. It's like there's so many people, and they're not obviously seeing a future right now for her in the way things are. It's just I've seen this happen to so many people. Like, and didn't Andrade get released? WWE?
Well, he'd been wanting to go. He wanted to leave to go to, he wasn't happy where he was anyway. So that was a different case.
And how do you feel?
Indy, I feel like I feel like that would have been a disappointing moment for her. Just like Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox already was like, look out, you're going to see what you missed. Like her motivation, she's like motivated right now because she's like, I've been ready to go for a while now. And I'll never forget in that Mae Young Classic, like being in that at Full Sail and hear like you can hear a pin drop when she had that injury. And she's had like injury setbacks, some serious injury setbacks, and has come back. She had some time with Natalya, and another one, you didn't really see. But that's what's so great about the wrestling business right now is there's so many viable companies out there with great exposure. I mean, she can go to Stardom, she can go Japan, Mexico, AEW, TNA, MLW, just all over the place. So looking forward to seeing how things shake up for her too.
Are we getting Charlotte Flair back?
I feel like we're just around the corner for that. Totally, yeah. You think of the women's division, how stacked it is, and then you forget, oh my God, there's Charlotte Flair. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen Alexa Bliss yet. There's so many. Even Carmella too.
Okay, last thing I promise. What's going on with the Wyatt Six?
Well, they have Miz somewhere. We don't know where he's at. Karrion Kross doesn't care about where Miz is, and I don't know if he's gonna help him at all or try.
Why is this not interesting to me?
I don't know. I think at first there was a lot of buzz with them, but they kind of just faded in the backdrop. So maybe things will come back to the forefront with this whole Miz thing. But I'm not hating the Miz story right now. I'm actually a little interested.
Miz at all.
The storyline where I want to see where it goes, where Miz gets like trapped in wherever they put him.
Because he's the only one that can act it.
I don't know. I mean, those Marine movies, okay.
Yeah. Those Marine movies weren't good. Yeah, I know. On that note, have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll be back with another What's Up Wrestling. You can find Scott at
SM Fishman on Twitter. And then you can find me on Facebook as well as TV Insider. You can find my stuff. Do a search.
And you'll find it. I'll keep you all posted if I end up at the border of Canada.
Yes, please keep us posted on your adventure.
From the patrol. Okay. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.